Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of KSP Resurgence. We started the episode with a little glitch. My rocket got launched in the air for literally seemingly no reason. Now, in this episode I'm going to be colonizing Creek, which is an icy ocean moon with some mountains and land as well. I'll be colonizing the highlands because they have the best resource distribution. The frozen oceans don't really have good resources. Now, if you're wondering how did all my interplanetary vehicles get back, I actually did a live stream where I returned, did a return mission of my Magnifica 5 last episode. I actually had a couple of live streams, one for a whole lot of the colonization stuff because, to be honest, it's somewhat monotonous. And I feel like it'd just be the best thing for a live stream. So if you see a bunch of new vessels or a bunch of vessels that have moved, look at the live stream and you'll probably be all caught up. Anyway, this is my cool little colony transport vehicle. Basically, it carries rocket parts, crew, everything you need to start a colony. Now, I actually have heard Kerbal colonies got an update, making colonies a lot harder to create. But I don't want to update my Kerbal colonies just because I feel like doing so would break my install. Especially considering they added electric charge as a resource you have to balance to keep your colony alive now. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to refrain from updating until I make a new install, which won't be until a future series. Anyway, today this colony will be laying the groundwork for an interstellar colony, well, interstellar vehicle actually. It will actually be placing colonies interstellar because it does have all the rocket parts and colony stuff. But this interstellar vehicle I actually designed in both of those live streams I made. It runs off of the Frisbee beam core antimatter engine from Far Future Technologies. I also got another mod that revamps the waterfall plume. It's a really cool one. It's by YGTE, or however it's pronounced. It also codes for a few other waterfall effects for some other engines. The goal with the mod is to make the antimatter engine look a bit more like the engine from the Avatar series, from the ISV Venture Star. So it's good for cinematics and just videos in general. Speaking of videos, if you do notice some of the videos changing in appearance, it's because I did tinker with my OBS settings a little bit, just because I want my videos to be the highest quality as possible. I also feel like that since I'm downscaling the videos, well, I'm recording them at 1440p, but I'm having them downscaled to 1080p, I feel like that's harming the quality quite a bit. So I suppose after this video I'm going to stop doing that just because I feel like my GPU... I mean, it's already recording at 1440p, I mean, why bother downscaling it? So going forward, after this video, I'm going to do all my videos 1440p, 60 FPS. It should have higher quality and, of course, better frames. I'm not sure if YouTube's going to let me upload it in 1440p, 60 FPS, but I mean, I do know 1080p, 60 FPS is an actual option, but I'm not sure if they have 1440p options for 60 FPS. Anyway, we have docked the colony transport to this Fortitude here. Fortitude is the interplanetary vessel I'm doing. And also I am struggling to time warp because of that persistent thrust bug. Hopefully in a future series I'll get rid of that mod and replace it with something better. Anyway, I did have to go to the tracking station and get rid of that pesky piece of debris that was causing me all that time warp issues. And here we are departing Sanctar's Sphere of Influence to go all the way to Magnifica, which is the gas giant that Creek orbits. I really like Creek. It's a cool moon with lots of cool features. I'm not sure if it has any Easter eggs. I actually was planning to look for Easter eggs and curbing it, but I low-key forgot to do that. I really wonder what my first interstellar destination is going to be. The closest star would be the, I believe it's the Chaos system? Or is that the brown dwarf added by Cosmic Serenity? I don't know, it's the other star added by Celestial Harmony, which is the system replacer I'm playing with. I believe it has a couple of gas giants, one of them called Farewell, I think it was? Which would probably be my first interstellar destination, considering it has a very interesting moon called Sublime, which is habitable, except the life is very different. It's filled with fungus and a bunch of other cool, exotic life forms. Hoping that will be my very, very first interstellar destination. But before I can actually build that interstellar craft, we actually have to colonize this far out moon just to be able to build it. I mean, I probably didn't have to make this colony just to build an interstellar vehicle, considering I have everything I need back at home, back at the Krabian colony. But I just feel like doing an interplanetary colony because why not? And also, Creek is a cool place I'd love to colonize. See here has a really cool ice oceans with a few islands. You know, considering Celestial Harmony is a sequel to Beyond Home, which is a sequel to After Kerbin, which is basically a mod where Kerbal turns into a red giant and swallows Kerbin. Well, it doesn't swallow Kerbin, it does swallow Moho, though it makes Kerbin uninhabitable. If that were to happen to Harmonia, which is the parent star in this mod, I suppose Creek here would actually be the first place that Kerbals would actually call home. Due to the fact that the oceans would probably melt and give it a somewhat habitable atmosphere, assuming the same logic from the previous mods apply to this one. I really love to try out Beyond Home, but unfortunately it's not really compatible with the latest graphics mods, though a revamp is in the works. Hopefully it'll come out sooner than later. Anyway, here we are landing at Creek. I mean, Creek is probably one of the best looking bodies in this whole mod, just because of the contrast between the islands and the ice shores. Not to mention, Parallax does make it look nice, especially the icy bits. I really like this colony spot I chose just because it's in the Highlands biome, therefore it has great resource distribution. It's also really close to the ice oceans, so you get a nice view. I suppose this is the closest thing we'll get to a beach resort for now. At least a beach resort in space. It's very cold, so don't expect to do any sunbathing here. Anyway, we have touched down, and this is the spot we'll colonize. Not too far from the flag I planted a while ago, but I will just do a little hop to somewhere slightly flatter, just because, I mean, I could build colonies in not flat spaces, but it just won't look that well. Now, Kerbal colonies did have, well, I mean, not Kerbal colonies, Kerbal constructs has a function, like you place a map decal or whatever it's called, it actually levels out the terrain for you. But for some reason, I can never get that to work. For some reason, the terrain would always, it just won't show up, it'd always be invisible. I'm not sure if that's a Copernicus or a Celestial Harmony bug, or a Kerbal Constructs bug, but hopefully I'll get that solved so I won't have any floating colony buildings in the future. I did make sure I was in a good spot for the colony by checking the resource distribution, and once again, since I am in the Highlands, I get all the resources I ever could want. So when you build a colony in Kerbal colonies, you have to spend a bunch of rocket parts to place a bunch of buildings down, such as your production facility, which is responsible for building all your buildings, the colony access building, whatever it's called, which lets you control all your facilities, the crew barracks, which lets you put crew on, and then also the storage facility, which lets you store resources. Now, I must confess, I did increase the amount of the storage facility by a considerable amount, just because of a weird glitch that happens to the ISRUs. So, if you're using ISRU facility, and the storage fills up, it doesn't actually start using another storage facility as its output. Instead, it just stops working and stops producing resources. And there doesn't seem to be a bug fix for this, so that either you have to keep clearing out resources or make another ISRU and have it linked somehow to the other storage facility. I could have built more storage facilities. I would have done that if it weren't for this horrible glitch. So I just decided to go in the game files and just add an extra 0 to the maximum storage. Anyway, I also another thing you can do is move the groups with Kerbal constructs. So if you do want to end up moving buildings with Kerbal colonies, just press Ctrl K and go to edit groups. Then you'll be able to move every single facility and not have to move them by each individual static. Pretty cool colony, it's just that for some reason the barracks has grass. Brings a whole new meaning to AstroTurf, I guess, because it's in space. Anyway, this is the part where I tried to get the map decal working, but it just wouldn't work, no matter how hard I tried. Anyway, I did cut a whole lot of this colony stuff out, just because it's very monotonous. Most of it's just wait to mine resources, then turn on your ISRU, switch to the recipes when you run out of resources. I had a whole weird chain of recipes going on. So first I tried out, I mined hydrates. I turned those hydrates into water. I took that water, split it into hydrogen and oxygen, and a little bit of deuterium also. Because I need a whole lot of hydrogen to power my interstellar vehicle. It's like the one resource that's kind of bottlenecked. I mean, I also added an ore to hydrogen recipe just because I wanted this to work how the stock ISRUs work. And I think I was a little bit too harsh on the recipe. I feel like it should have been producing way more hydrogen than I put in there. But I'm up for a challenge, and in the end I did get enough hydrogen, though it did take a few days. There's a lot of resources this planet has to offer, and a lot of recipes I can use to destroy them, and turn them into more useful resources. And also, another cool thing is that stuff like minerals and exotic minerals, I can turn that into fluorine, which means that instead of using plain old boring old oxygen, I can actually use fluorine as an oxidizer instead. Since I have chemical technologies installed, I can actually use different exotic fuels, such as diborane, though I don't have a recipe for diborane. I did have to add a recipe for liquid hydrazine, just because monopropellant, which is what hydrazine replaces, is deprecated with chemical technologies. So, and all the recipes I did have were for monopropellant, so I just edited them so that they output hydrazine instead and use ore. You know, a pretty cool sunrise here with volumetric cloud scatterer and all the other graphical mods I have. Also, we get some cool firefly effects. This colony transport is very similar, except for the fact it actually has instead of a cargo bay with rocket parts, it actually has a crew cabin, so it can hold more Kerbals. Just because my engineer count on the colony is looking a little skimpy, so for that reason I decided to pump it up with more Kerbals. This transport will be docking with Tenacity, which is my original... It's actually my second interplanetary vehicle. The first one I assembled from a colony. The real first interplanetary vehicle was like some methane-powered nuclear thermal rocket. It was called Pathfinder, I think. But I only used it for one mission before I made Tenacity and superseded it. Tenacity is way better. In fact, I actually haven't refueled an interplanetary vehicle just because they have so much Delta V to work with. And hopefully I won't have to refuel any of these interstellar vehicles I'm making, especially when I unlock warp drives. I would really love to have some warp space planes just that could go anywhere they wanted to. Anyway, here we are approaching Tenacity. Now, this docking was very, very scuffed, considering I still had my lander from my Magnifica 5 docked to the very front docking port of this, so I had to get rid of it. So I was gonna actually burn using these engines just to get on an escape trajectory. But another glitch with persistent thrust is, for some reason, whenever I burn with one engines, if there's another spacecraft in physics range that has their engines enabled, it will enable those too and put them at whatever throttle I have. I call it the shared throttle glitch. I'm not sure if it's actually in the stock game, but it doesn't seem like it would be. It just seems like a massive pain. So for that reason, next playthrough, I'm going to try finding an alternative to persistent thrust. It's just way too glitchy. I do not like using it, but I have to, considering if I didn't, a whole lot of these interplanetary, and especially interstellar burns will take literal months. I mean, the interplanetary burns, I'm sure, take a long time with physics warp, but the interstellar burns with huge acceleration phases literally would take months. Though I do recall the interstellar vehicle I am assembling has a rather good TWR, even for such a big vehicle. I think it was like 0.73 or something last time I checked, but I could be wrong. Anyway, I'm gonna ditch that upper stage, just send it plunging back into the ground. And anyway, we're gonna fire up our engine and go straight to Krog. why not Creek? Because Krob, we're actually going to make a quick pit stop there because I do need to pick up a little bit of fusion fuel. Just because getting fusion fuel with Kerbal colonies is rather difficult just because how hard it is to get deuterium. Deuterium is actually supposed to be abundant, but for some reason it's just really hard to get. Look like helium-3 I would say is easier because with the setup I have, I can mine it directly from the ground, but it just takes a long time. Deuterium, on the other hand, I have to do like a complex resource chain, similar to my whole situation with hydrogen. So since I actually sent a deuterium tanker all the way over here to the crop colony, I can actually take all that fusion fuel and put it on a little spacecraft and dock it to Tenacity so I can deliver it all the way to the Creek colony. And also, I am mining helium-3 on that colony as well, so that takes care of helium-3. Another thing I should mention, I also did tinker with my TUFX configs. It's a post-processing mod for Kerbal Space Program. Celestial Harmony actually comes with one, I believe. That's the one I'm using right now. So if you notice any changes in the colors, that's why. Anyway, I must say, this whole docking was even more scuffed than the last one. It's because since this had partial probe control, I could not manually turn it in any direction I wanted to. I could only turn it in like 6 different directions, 8 if you include the target, 10 if you include stability system maneuver, which is very, very annoying. I can't even make maneuvers with this because I don't have communications. Because we're on the dark side of Krob. Maybe I should have put this colony on the tightly locked side that faces Sanctar. But unfortunately I didn't take that into account that Krob would be tightly locked. Now I did get this into an orbit, and then I just decided to use Tenacity to rendezvous with it. I mean, I did get communications back, but just barely. I'm not going to risk it, I'm just going to use Tenacity to do the whole rendezvous since it has a whole bunch of crew members willing to take control of the craft and actually are capable of using the maneuver tools and the SAS properly. Now, this docking, other than this minor issue, somewhat went without a hitch. Bit of a little burn here just to fine-tune our encounter. It's not really an encounter, it's no planetary body I'm dealing with. Anyway, I'm using one of the side docking ports for Tenacity for this. And also I will be using Tenacity to do the retro burn, just because I do not trust this fusion tanker at all. And another thing I do have to deal with is, since I forgot to put antenna on here, how am I going to control this little fusion tanker all the way in interplanetary space? Thankfully I do come up with a solution for that. I'm actually going to get a Kerbal on EVA to actually attach an antenna over to this lander here. Since I do have 2 antennae on my on Tenacity here, both of which are capable of reaching back to the Kerbal Space Center on their own from the Creek colony, I'm just going to take an engineer, go on EVA, and just get that part all the way to the lander so it can actually communicate and control it all the way from the Creek colony. There we go, the antenna's attached, and now I can go back to the colony transport doohickey. Anyway, now it's time to actually go to the Creek colony. We have everything we need, and it's just a little bit more of time warping. Olia is once again being the gravity hog and is trying to take us into a sphere of influence. However, I am smarter. I'm always one step ahead and actually burnt ahead. Unfortunately, that got me sent back into Krob's sphere of influence temporarily. So that was just a minor setback, just a bit of a time warp delay. Anyway, here I am burning for Magnifica. I will be cutting out a whole lot of the maneuver plotting parts of the video from now on, just because you've seen me making plenty of maneuvers. I'm also going to be cutting out rendezvous, just because plotting out maneuvers, I already have a lot of that on my channel. I just feel like having an excess of that would be a little bit redundant. So from now on, I'll be cutting those boring filler parts out. This video is already long enough as it is. I'm actually at a loss for words of how this video of mostly filler and colonization stuff managed to be so long. I cut so much content out. If you do want to see me actually manage my colony more, I think I have a live stream. So if you'd like to watch that, I'd greatly appreciate that. Now, the thing with the gas giants is that their moons, you can always get the best encounters with them. Like, with stuff like Kerbal in the stock game, like the Mun, usually when you get a flyby with it, you usually just whiz right by. While with these moons of gas giants, you always get a nice curved encounter that takes you really close. Probably because you're going slower, maybe because there's more moons. I don't really know why it happens. Anyway, once again, we got a nice view of Creek and the nice icy oceans. Creek, by far, has to be one of my most favorite moons of the game in the Celestial Harmony. Now, I will be splitting this part into 2 videos just because they're both landing at the same colony. Now, if you look at the clip on the left, you can actually notice Creek was reflecting some of the purple from Magnifico, which is that huge gas giant there. So it's pretty cool how even parallax, it can make ice look like a mirror. Now, I do want to revamp this whole multi-vessel tracking screen, just because it's a little lackluster. All it is just 2 videos, my flag slapped behind it, and some text. I gotta rework it. Who knows, maybe one of you guys can make me one. I have a Discord server linked below, so if you'd love to join, that'd be great. Speaking of which, if you want to be a Kerbal sent to this colony, or perhaps another one in the future, you can actually click a link below. I have a Kerbal application form. If you fill it out, I'll add you to the save as a Kerbal. You'll be able to be sent to space missions. You'll probably be able to go on my new super cool interstellar vehicle, considering that is what I'm going to build next episode. I won't actually build it this episode, but I will build it first thing next episode. I did record it, but I just ran out of time in this episode, since I want to aim for around 25-ish minutes of video. Anyway, both of these landings went without a hitch, so they both went very well. Anyway, here we are at the colony. I'm going to do a little bit of resource transferring. A weird glitch that happens is that this fusion tanker appears to be in the sky for a minute. It's just floating by some unseen force, but when I actually switch to it, it goes back to the ground as if nothing ever happened. It's really an odd glitch. Speaking of odd glitches, remember the Kerbal Constructs map decals that's supposed to add a flattened terrain? Well, I did try adding them, and it made my facilities float above the terrain, which I suppose is the map decal trying its best, but it's just invisible. But whenever I delete it, and the buildings go back to normal, whenever I do a scene change, or reload the game and go back to it, it just reappears. It keeps turning up like a bag penny. Kerbal Space Program has the weirdest and funniest glitches, but sometimes can really mess up your day. Like if you auto-strut something wrong, it just falls apart. My interstellar vehicle had a bit of trouble when I got it off the ground just because of the Kraken wanted to eat it for breakfast. Thankfully I did get that fixed, but that'll be in a future episode. Anyway, just got some more colony stuff here. This is what I was talking about, just changing recipes. And then just running your ISRU until you run out of the fuel, the inputs for that resource. It's just kind of annoying having to swap between recipes all the time. Maybe I should add another mining facility, but all my engineers are currently working on said mining facility and other facilities. So if I want to add more Kerbals to this mining facility, I have to take some from other facilities, which is slightly inconvenient, but I could do it and get off scot-free, considering not even all my facilities are in use or have to be fully crewed. Anyway, odd glitch here. The smaller dome is supposed to be similar to the big one, but for some reason Kerbal Constructs didn't save it, so now it's a smaller model. But there's still level 3 crew barracks. I'm also building a research and development lab, but that will be it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all later. Bye!